What is going on, guys? Today we are going to be running through the most meta defenders across all positions in the defense, as well as cheap versus expensive. Now let's break it down. So in terms of left backs, there is only one name when it comes to the cheapest of the cheap left backs that you want in your team. He is outstanding from the start of the game. To be honest, all the way to the end. He may lose a little bit of credibility by the end. He is a gold card, and that guy is going to be Ferland Mendy. Ferland Mendy is exquisite beyond all belief for the past 3 to 4 years since he's burst onto the scenes as an 81, 82. I think he was an 80 at one point as well, but the 83 is sensational. This card genuinely is one of the best gold defenders that we can get, and he's great links. Real Madrid obviously comes in at a price at the start of the game, but for right now, you can get him for absolute peanuts. He literally comes in under 6,000 coins, and this is obviously for a budget. This is not a spending as much as you need on a left back. We've got loads of names for that. But if you are looking for a solid left back, starting the team, you don't necessarily have a great deal of coins, this is going to be the guy that gets you through 100% of the time. 92 on the pace, 4-star, 5-star, obviously high work rates, can overlap. Not necessarily one that I would say is equipped for an overlap. I've got the perfect left back in mind for that. If we were to think any other gold left backs, to be honest, I'd say again they are very similar with what we expect in gold left back. So if we go to gold rare, I'd be looking at Cancelo, I'd be looking at Robertson. Alfonso's always a great shout for the pace, and also obviously a bit of Theo Hernandez. Robertson this year is a little bit underwhelming. I felt like he definitely could do with that boost. He has obviously got better cards since, but most definitely I'd say Cancelo, Theo, Alfonso and Mendy do trump him in that side. Are you tired of using players like this? I would much rather have teams more like this. Then I recommend going over to skycoach.gg for all of your coaching and coins needs. They are cheap, fast and reliable, but at the checkout make sure you are using code JT11 for a discount on your orders. Back to the video. If then we're thinking we want a little bit more of an expense, we want maybe just a bit up but not too much, we want a kind of average sort of price, Miranda is where I'm going. 88 rated. I believe they are still in. Are they still in? Real Betis are out. Okay, I thought so. But in terms of an 88, solid. Absolutely solid. Obviously got the pace. 3-star, which unfortunately is what it is. But I do think as a 70k, I think 70 at this point, 60, 70k, you can't go wrong. He's a step up from obviously everybody else. And I do think the next sort of jump up is looking at a few 100,000. Because if we look throughout, obviously icons, Roberto Carlos is always a great shout. But I do think now, if you are spending a lot on a left back, I wouldn't necessarily go base or mid. Even though they are great at the start of the game, they're slowly coming out. Ferland Mendy, again, another great shout, but very expensive with his winter wildcard. Again, will still give you an incredible result, and I do think he's one of the best ones you can get. But there is definitely some that I believe are better. If then we look at a Maldini, if obviously the position change wasn't a thing, still a solid left back, but I do think you're going to put him at obviously a centre-back role. If we have a look at the two Portuguese lads, three in fact, we have Nuno Mendes as a road to the final, another great card that you can get, great pace, very much a Ferland Mendy sort of build, obviously nothing great on the passing, but dribbling starting to get there. Decent-ish defending, but you can obviously add more, but the pace is where it comes in. We've obviously had Nuno Tavares as the 88, if you did finish that. Again, a little bit more expensive, as well as then getting a Nuno Mendes straight after him as well. And then obviously a Cancelo 91 is always going to be fantastic from the Team of the Year honourables. If we look then at the others, I think if we're looking at Team of the Years, Theo Hernandez is going to be number one, most definitely, in a Team of the Year left back. There is only one, but what he offers is just outstandingness everywhere. But he isn't my number one choice going. My number one, and in fact an honourable mention, is going to be Zinchenko from this week's mini release. 5-star skill moves or 5-star weak foot, depending on which version you want, is a cracking left back. I would say he tips it for the top left back in the Prem now. The stats are obviously the same on both. It is literally just a 4-star 5-star or a 5-star 4-star. But my number one choice is this man right here. Capdevia is outstanding. If you've ever used him, you know exactly what I mean. From both versions, I do think his left back was great at the start of the game, obviously the 85, but 86 in fact. I do think that one is now slowly coming out of rotation. The World Cup I still use today is an outstanding overlapping left back. The pace is good, defending's top quality. We need a bit of physical, which an anchor is going to sort out properly. Great passing, obviously got the crossing as well. He is my overlapping left back, and now we've got a bigger upgrade, 1.7 mil worth of a left back, and he is absolutely worth every penny. And he takes my best meta left back in the game. Now we've gone through the left backs. What about the right backs? In terms of gold, there is always a solid right back that you can get, and I think there is a couple this year. Obviously, Kyle Walker, number one shout, does come in very expensive at the start, but most definitely drops down in price very quickly, and normally we do get a special card. We're always wanting that centre-back Walker, just purely for the fact that he has 91 pace on his base, can only go up as well, which is always perfect, and also Hakimi, a 4-star, great right back, again, very basic throughout, but like we've seen with Furland, sometimes that doesn't matter at the start of the game. I do think you could still rock him today. He is obviously very cheap in comparison to previous, and most definitely we've got a good selection of specials. And if we go into them then, again, there is some very, very big shouts. If we go a little bit further down, we've got a few starting at around about... Where's Hakimi's 84? Because we've got, I think it's up from here. We've obviously got quite a few shouts from Frimpong, obviously being 96 pace. A great right back if you really wanted to. Comes in quite cheap as well. I believe that was a Phenoms. We then have Hakimi's Phenoms as well. Another cracking right back that I've been using for a long time now, to be honest. I think, how many games have we got with him? He is on 655. So he's done me that well already, so I cannot really argue with him at all in that position. He's done a job, and I do think he's getting found out a little bit more now, but I do think it just depends on who you're coming up against. If obviously we're looking a bit further up on that list, I think that is it. Obviously Hakimi again got himself a team in a week, which is always perfect. Nice little upgrade for him. Koyunde, I'd personally go for a centre-back. Vanderson wasn't a bad shout, but I do think he's very standard, and especially for the price of the SBC, I don't know if I'd personally put him in the top sort of category. We then got a Dani Alves who, to be honest, was very underwhelming. I really didn't rate it too much. I felt like he was an okay right back, but they could have made him a lot better. Dalot is a great signing as well. If you are looking for cheap and reliable, Dalot will always give you a great performance. Very much on the overlapping side. You go for a shadow, whatever you want. I think the pace, the strength and physicality are more than enough. So a shadow just emphasizes that pace even more, giving him that defensive ability as well. He's already got the dribbling, the passing's quality. There's not much more you can ask for from a team at a tournament. If we're looking at cheap icons, and I do think there is a perfect standout icon that everybody should want. I don't think, was he right wing back? Beautiful. Zambrotta base is perfect. He has always been perfect in that right wing back role. Again, reliable, very, very unique on the card, can overlap, has it all. And this card is released from day one. Obviously, Carfu sitting next to him is incredible as well. We never argue with a Carfu, and I think this year, the fact that we had Carlos Alberto and Carfu last year, that both were just right backs, no chance of being centre backs, it almost added that little bit of a pointless to have one of them. Now, obviously, Carlos Alberto can be shifted into centre-back role. It makes a perfect partnership for them both. But in terms of right backs from just the icon variation, like I say, Carlos Alberto's great in that right back role. But if you've got a Carfu as well, centre-back suits him down to the ground as well. But the number one, I personally think, if I'm going for anybody, it has to be the Hakimi. Team of the year is absolutely sensational. I do think, obviously, for the price, you can get people that will give you the same results, or at least a good enough results, but most definitely come in a lot less of the price. Kyle Walker's Path to Glory. Di Lorenzo, just for an inform, looks absolutely brilliant as well. Very, very cheap. So there is, like I say, a good variety of depending on what you want. But I do think, for me, Hakimi takes that spot. And in the cheaper option, I'd be looking at a Kyle Walker. And then that brings us on to the centre-backs, the main position that you need to get right. If we're looking at the very cheaper option first, I'd say I'd be looking down probably towards a Tomori. I'd be looking at a Varane as well. Both of them, in terms of their very base versions, always quality. Can we go one further down? Militao at the start of the year was very good. I don't feel like he holds the weight of what Tomori and obviously Virgil do. Kimpembe, another great shout. We know him from the past couple of years, has always been on the minds of everybody. And then if we go to the top of the list, obviously Virgil takes my vote for the best gold card in the game. Other than Mbappe, defensive, cheap, reliable, still in my team from day one. Absolutely incredible. Over 1,000 games. Would love an upgraded Virgil, but unfortunately I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Obviously, if we look at a few others, Rudiger's still great. Alaba is a half and half. I got on with him, but I don't think he's really anybody to shout about now. Obviously, it will take toll to get there. If we look at specials, obviously there is a big name in there that we'll show you at the end. If we're looking at, in fact, if we go from icons first, just to show you what icons we've got, because again, there has been so many decent icons that we can go for, from just a basic Campbell, again, then up to obviously looking at a Blanc, a Cannavaro. They will all give you a very solid job. Cannavaro has always been one of my favoured ones, mainly in the base version, which I think is a bit further down. In the 87, great pace, out at the start of the game. Carlos Alberto's base, again, very cheap, very, very affordable. If we're looking at the top of the top, Maldini's obviously on that list for his prime and obviously his mid. Maybe we see an upgraded version before the end of the game. That would be absolutely outstanding. And obviously a lot of people are using that left back due to the SBC being in game. If obviously we take a look at the FUT Birthday centre backs, Coman's not a bad shout, but to be honest, I do think more of a CDM. But then in the introduction of this year, we got Team of the Year icons. And these two are outstanding. To say both of them, base, mid, prime, useless. To say they got a Team of the Year icon, which is just one above their prime, outstanding. Both of them are impeccable cards. Great pace upgrade, great overhaul for the card, and they are both well worth every penny. And the one that I think probably was the biggest upgrade in Bobby Moore. Just amazing. Genuinely, for what, 100, 200k now, he is an incredible centre-back. He will be probably till at least team of the season, probably surpass that. Obviously then we will start to see some very big versions coming out. Obviously we already have the 2 team of the years. Again, both of them are going to be in the top of the list and very, very expensive, which we expect. World Cup Stories Virgil, still a very, very good card, most definitely. Ramos is the pain in my rear, because genuinely this card as an SBC was a joke and I totally missed out on him. I really hope they re-release him at some point or give him a better card, because he is just outstanding again. If then we're looking at a Koulibaly, we'll still give you a good amount. We've obviously got a Marquinhos from this week. Not really been too happy with him this year. I don't feel like he's had the same effect as what he has in previous years. Ruben Diaz with a massive pace increase from obviously the fantasy foot, and most definitely not done with his rating just yet. Then if we look at one of the centre-backs that has most definitely questioned whether Maldini is the best this year, Lucio's base and World Cup is still outstanding and most definitely arguably top 1 to top 3 centre-backs in the game. Every pro uses him and there is a reason why. Just generically an insane little centre-back, most definitely. I do think Saliba needs to catch some love as well. Fantasy Foot still not done with his upgrades, and I do think this card with a couple of upgrades more would be top 5 at the minimum. A lot of people like Rudiger as well, and I do think there is some Fofanas. There's the other centre-back from Chelsea that I know I can't pronounce his name. I don't know where he is. I think he's 88 somewhere. But he, again, is outstanding. We've got a Varane Winter Wildcard and also a Winter Wildcard Tomori as well. Both of them with another double upgrade from an 84 to an 88. And both of them, again, are players well worth having in your team. So there is a very big selection from obviously centre-backs from the low end to obviously the top end. If I'm looking at my kind of bottom end sort of centre-backs, I'd be looking at a Tomori or a Varane. Both of them coming in at about 5k each. Not a problem. Top end wise, I think it would be a combination of Virgil, Maldini or Lucio personally. Obviously there is other options you could go for in a top 5, top 10, but they would be my top 3. And I'd say if I was taking out one player, it's a hard one because I'd personally look at maybe taking out Virgil because I know Lucio's that good. and Maldini has always been outstanding. So it would be a tough one. I think you'd get the same results from Virgil, Maldini, Lucio, and obviously the flashback Ramos. All four of them, if you've got them, they're endgame. And that's going to be my list. Let me know down below what left back, right back, and centre backs you've got. Make sure you like and subscribe on this, and check out the video on screen. And I'll catch you all tomorrow for the best players in each position. Peace.